Hello students, today we shall learn about arrays in C++. First we'll discuss what are basically arrays. Arrays are data structures that grouped together data of the same type, which means that if you have a data of let's say integer type, but then there are many numbers of data, many integers which can be grouped together. Then you can group together them and give it a name and call it as an array. So we can say they are data which are grouped together, and these data must be of same type. It can be either integer type, all the data members, or it can be all of them can be characters, or all of them can be float values, whatever it be. They should be of same data type and they should be clubbed together and can be called as an array. Okay, now it can hold tens or thousands of data. An array can hold any number of data. It can be tens or thousands of data in a single array. Now they can be simple data types such as integer or float, or they can be user defined data types such as structures and objects. You have learned about structures and objects. So they are user defined data types. So this array can consist of members of integers alone, or it can be of float alone, or it can be the data types can be structures as well as objects. Okay, so this is fundamental understanding about arrays. Now you also have learned about structures. They are also a way to group members or data together, right? So you may have some doubts how they are, both of them are different or are they the same. So we shall discuss slightly about how they fundamentally differ. But then as we go on learning arrays, you will clearly understand how the arrays and structures differ. Now we'll have a comparison between arrays and structures. So both of them group a number of items into a larger unit. We have learned about structures. There also you can have say I have an integer a, I have a float x, I have character y, and all of them can be grouped together and can be called as a structure, and it can be given a name, right? So in array also we said that they group together members of the same data type. So whatever it be, both of them they group a number of items into a larger unit. Okay, so that is the similarity of arrays and structures. Now what are the differences between them? While structures group items of different types, an array group items of the same type. I've already said that structures they can group items. One member of structure can be integer type, another member of structure can be character, another member of a structure can be float, or it can be again of the same type. So it is not necessary that the items which you group together under structures are of same type. But array should group items of the same type alone. That is, it can group items integer type only, or it can group items of float type only. Okay, so that is what we mean by saying that array group items of the same type while structures group items of different types. Now items in a structure are accessed by name, while those in arrays are accessed by an index number. We have said that structure contains different variables, and different variables are given different names, right? So each of the variable in a structure are accessed by a name. We have learned when you define objects, then these objects can access the members in the structure, but these structures are then accessed by their names. But in arrays they are not. They have the arrays, all the data members in the array are given a single name. So you cannot access them using a name, but then you can access with a common name all the members, but then an individual member of an array is accessed by an index number. say if A is an array, I can call it as A1, A2, A3. Like that, you can call each of the data elements in the array using index number. And we call the elements in the array as, okay, all the data in the array as elements. We call it as elements. Okay. Now we shall see more about this array, how you define an array in program. Okay. So an array can be defined in your program as, like, I will show a syntax to write with an example. So let me write as, say, I have an array which is of the type integer. So all the members of the array are integer type. So I write int, then I write, suppose my array name is age. Now you put a square bracket. Then here I have to put the number of data. So if I put, say, 4 here, I can say that I defined a array with the name age, which is of integer type, and it has 4 members, 4 elements in the array. Okay, you understood? So I can say that this is an array named age, and this array is of integer type, and the size of the member, or then there are 4 numbers of data in the array age. So, and then if you write that in a program, obviously you have to put the semicolon. So first here is the data type. So this is the data type of the array, and this is the name of the array, and this is the size of the array. Okay, this is size, this is name, and this is data type. Now this is about defining an array in a program. Okay. Now if I write a simple statement, so there is a C++ program, and this is one of the statement of that. So you have to put hash include and all in the program, and you have to start the main function, that is all. Integer main you have to start, and this is a statement within that. Now if I write a statement like for, I'm starting in a for loop, int, okay, j equal to 0, semicolon, j less than 4, semicolon, j plus plus. You know, this is how we write a for loop. Then I open the curly braces, then I write cout, in quotes I write enter and age. Semicolon. Then here I write here cin, sorry, the other way. Here I write age, square bracket, I. It's not I, the index is j. Okay. Now you see I have written a for loop where I have for int j. J is the index here, and j has been initialized with 0, and then j less than 4. So j varies from 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I have written here cout enter an age. So first time when j is equal to 0, it will show enter an age on the monitor. Okay. So then I will enter a variable through the keyboard. So whatever variable or data you enter through the keyboard will be saved as the first member of the array age. So here at this time, when the at the first time j value is equal to 0, right? So age 0, whatever variable you enter through the keyboard will be saved as the age 0. So first let me enter. So if I enter the value as say 3, so that will be saved as age 0, which the meaning is that arrays, so this is the index of the array. Okay, this is the index of the array. So now I say, if I say that 0th element of the array age is 3. Okay, I can say here 0th element of the array age is 3, because if I enter 3 here, that 3 will be assigned to the assigned as the first element of the age. And always arrays indexing starts with 0. So that is 0, 1, 2, 3. So j is less than 4 means it can have index as 0, it can have index as 1, it can have index as 2, it can have index as 3. Okay, so now you understand the first time loop has run. Now the integer value j value has incremented j plus plus, so j becomes 1. Now what happens? Again it will ask enter an age. So then again you will enter a name, enter a number. So if I enter say second time, so now what it will do? It will assign the 4 as the what element? It will assign the 4 as the, so it should be the other way. It should add as one first element. This is 0th element, this is the first element of. So this is how basically it works. It will assign the whatever, or each time whatever value you will enter, that will be assigned. First time when it enter, it will be assigned as the 0th element of the array. Second time when you enter a data, that will be considered as the first element. Then whatever you uh, do give next time, it will be entered as the second element, and like that totally 4 elements will be there, because you have defined the age as a array of the size 4. So you cannot have the j value more than 4, or you cannot have elements, number of elements more than 4. If I define it as a 10, then you can have 10, or if I define it as 100, then you can have even elements below that. That is not a problem. But if I define it as say 10, and I cannot have or I cannot do this process for say 15 elements. Okay, so foreseeingly, you should have a knowledge how many data elements should be there, and with that mind only you can actually define the array size. Okay, so array size should be or at least of the number of elements which you are planning to enter. Okay, so this is all about actually how it basically works. I hope you might have understood how what this index in an array means, and how you enter a data will be actually assigned for one of the assigned in the name of one of the index. Okay, now another thing is initializing. So this is if you want to say initialize an array. Initialize an array. This is here in the previous example, whatever data you are entering was actually taken as the one of the variable of the, or one of the index of the array, right? But then there may be instances where you want to fill in the data with in the initial step itself. For example, say age. I have a 5 age, or I have 5 elements in the age array. Then you can initialize it with the 5 elements. Suppose if you want to do like that. Or you can say, suppose I want to initialize an array. That array elements are the number of days in each month. Okay, so I plan to construct an array And array's name is say day in months. So that is the name of the array. Okay, and obviously the days are of integer type, right? So I define the array as integer type. Okay, now I put, so what is the next? I have to put a size. So there are 12 months. So for each, considering 12 months, I define the size of the array as 12. So there should be 12 elements in this array. So if I want to define, so I'm planning to write an array or define an array, and each of the element in the array should be the number of days in each month. So now, so this is how you write. So I have 12 months, so size of the array is 12, and this is the name of the array, and this is the type of the array. Now how you put the elements? For that you have to first draw a curly braces, then you have to write the first element. So let the first element is 31, the number of days in January. Then you have to put a comma. You have to put the number of days in a February. So I put here 28. Okay, then I put comma. Then I put 31, again showing the number of days in March, comma 30, comma 31, comma 30, comma 31, comma 31, comma 30, comma 31, comma 30, comma 31. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Close the curly braces, put a semicolon. So this is how you define a array. This array has 12 elements, and each of the element, if you want to initialize it with the elements, then you can open the curly braces, write each element separated by commas, and then you have to end with the close the braces and then put a semicolon. Then this is the syntax for array initialization. So the syntax for array definition we said, declaration we said before, and this is for initialization of the array. So like in this way you can initialize the members or initialize the elements in an array. Now another thing is the array can be of multi-dimensional. So this is an array, or this is a single array which you have, because, or you can consider this as a matrix with a single row, right? Similarly, it has a single row only, but then you can have multi-dimensional arrays. That means if I have in the form of say array of arrays, if I have like that one single array, then another array, and then another array, then another array, like that, if you have a number of arrays, that arrays can also be stored in a that group of arrays can also be stored as the single array. So that means, but then dimension differs because you have several number of rows as well as several number of elements in each row. Okay, so the size will be, there will be two elements for the size. So I can say that here I define the size as 12. But then if you have a number of arrays like this, then you have to have what is the number of arrays, then what are the number of elements in each array. So suppose I have another array, so I may call this as, say suppose there are 4 rows, and in 4 rows there are 3 elements. Okay, so then I can write it as integer. And if suppose it as an integer type, then I can write integer, say x. Then I put a, square bracket, I write the size of the array, 4, number of arrays, and then elements in the array I can write as 3. So this is how I define a multi-dimensional array. So if I have multi-dimensional array, that means array of arrays. If I have 4 arrays with 3 elements each in a single array, then I can define such an array as x. If the name of the array is x, then square bracket, one of the size, and square bracket the other size. Okay, so if I write x4 3, it means that there are 4 arrays and there are 3 elements in each array. So like that you can have multi-dimensional arrays. You can have more dimensions, even more dimensions. We can have more than 2-dimensional dimensions we can have. So this is about the fundamental understanding about these arrays. And now as you pass on variables to functions, or you can, as you pass arguments to functions and all, and in that way arrays can also be passed to several functions as arguments, so that all these things you will learn when you come and understand more about it. Okay, so we shall have a further discussion or a more detailed discussion with certain more examples in the next sessions. Okay, thank you very much.